Hey everyone, and welcome back to BMX News, a weekly BMX news show where I talk about everything that happened in the previous week within the world of BMX that I think you guys might care about. That being said, the first thing that I want to talk about this week is a video that came out this past week from someone named Nathan Lanky Phillips, and it's called Swan Song. And I wanted to make sure I talked about this one first because this dude put 7 years into this video, and it shows. There's not one single filler clip in the entire thing. They're all bangers. It's insane, and if you're a mid-2000s BMX fan, this is the video you're gonna want to watch. This is his Swan Song, and it is amazing. There's so many insane tricks in here, too many to list actually. Big subrail foo-fa-noos, crazy lip tricks. He does lip tricks. He does a disaster to 360 in with a trick before it even on what looks like a 10-foot quarter pipe. It's incredible, and I wanted to make sure I highlighted it first so that anyone who may enjoy this kind of video will see it because, dude, hats off. After that, I want to talk a little bit about Tate Roskelley's Wait What video that came out last Friday while I was editing the news video last week. I included it in the very beginning, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it because it came out while I was editing already. But if you have somehow been under a rock and not seen this video, you have to watch this one too. These two videos are just must-watch videos. You have to see them. Tate Roskelley put in work for this one, and he did so many things that probably no one has ever even thought of doing on a BMX bike, and it was incredible. Way too many to list, just like the video before, but in a totally different way. And this video was so good and so creative that it ended up being talked about on the 9 Club podcast. This is a skateboarding podcast where they talked for like 8 minutes about how crazy Tate's video was and just gave him praise, and it was really, really cool to see. And I probably used that as some clickbait for the title and thumbnail because it's not every day that the 9 Club people talk positively about BMX. There had been all the drama in the past with those guys and everything that they've said, but this time it was pretty much all positive stuff and just talking about how awesome it is. And one of the guys on there asked a question that I thought was really interesting, and they compared it to skateboarding in asking the question, what do other BMX riders think about riding like Tate's? And then another guy chimed in and said he didn't want to assume anything, but he kind of felt like maybe BMX was like skateboarding right now, and that people are just doing whatever is fun for them. And while I don't think that everyone in BMX is doing exactly that right now, I feel like there's quite a lot of people who are just doing whatever is fun for them at this point. And I feel like the vast majority of people in BMX just absolutely love what Tate Roskelley is doing. And if you're one of those people, let me know in the comments down below. And then, of course, there's going to be people who are just not into certain things. Not everybody has to like everything, so obviously there's going to be people on the other side of the fence. But I do feel like the answer to the question of how BMX itself perceives and takes something like what Tate Roskelley does is very, very positive, and I'm very confident in saying that. So with that being said, just watch Tate Roskelley's video. Go on his Instagram if you want to hear the 9 Club excerpt and hear those guys talking about it. And then I want to give a little update on the King of the Backyard Jam that went down this past Sunday. If you haven't heard anything about this, this is a contest that went down in Dennis Enterson's backyard between like 5 or 6 different riders, I think, where they had $5,000 split up between Dennis, Chad Curley, Corey Nastasio, Dennis's dad even, and I think a couple other people. And each time a person took a run, basically if they did something cool, they put some money into that person's jar, and at the end, whoever had the most money won. There were some technical difficulties in the technological side of things with the contest. Doing a live stream like this with multiple different cameras and microphones and all these different sources and switching between them is definitely not something easy, and there's a reason why they have big semi-truck trailers full of equipment to do things like this. And it was just, I think, 1 or 2 guys behind the scenes under this tent in charge of all of this. So there's a little bit of technical difficulties, but they worked through it. They did get it done. They did the best that they could, and it was definitely a really awesome thing. And I hope that they do it more. And I think that this is the kind of thing that could be really, really awesome if there was like 10, 15 people and you just had these guys taking turns, taking runs with like $5,000, putting it in there and having like another $5,000 at the end for the winner. With this kind of thing, you just can't help but get more and more ideas and have things pop into your head with it. And the fact that they're going to continue doing these, the next one is going to be in Pat Casey's backyard. is just awesome to see, and I'm glad that there's more things like this popping up in BMX. The more awesome things that happen in BMX, the better. And speaking of the technical difficulties that they had on the Backyard Jam live stream, when things would completely cut out, they would cut to a couple different videos, and I think that one of them was the one we're about to talk about, and that is a Welcome to Haro video for Michael Mogajon. This guy was in the contest, and I think that part of the contest and showing that video was meant to be the announcement of him being on Haro, and this dude rips. If you watched any of the contests, you know how hard he rips, how dialed he is, and it's a short 1-minute video, so check that one out from someone that you may not have heard of before this event and this news. After that, we also had the news that poor homie Rich is now riding for ICLA, and in the link in the description down below, you can go to ICLA's website and see a whole bunch of pictures of his bike with the ICLA parts on them. Speaking of links in the description, there are links in the description down below to everything that I've talked about and will talk about in today's video in the order that I talk about them. After that, we can get into the videos from this week. And the first video I want to talk about this week is called Jimma 2021 from S&M Bikes, and it's with James Peace. And I saw a clip from this video on Instagram that really got me excited to talk about it in this video. And I honestly had to watch it multiple times to even understand what was going on, because I thought I saw what I saw. Then I watched it again, I was like, no way. And then you gotta watch it again to be like, holy crap. This dude did a half bar to crook on a rail. Imagine that. That is insane. So it made me excited to talk about this one. Then I watched the rest of the video. He's got a really East Coast animal street vibe to him, but then he does tricks like downside whips and does a big tabletop out of the street looking transition. And you combine his style of riding with the music that they used in this one, and it just made for a really awesome video to watch. And I definitely think you guys will enjoy it. And with that being said, we've got a whole bunch more videos that I thought were worth mentioning this week. So let's run through those right now. We've got Devin Smiley's 2020 Fly Bikes video. Yes, that is correct. 2020 video. Devin Smiley going all out for his 2020 video, which is a really good one to watch. Then we've got Dustin Alt Neon Rims. This is a Flatland video with a really high production value with some really awesome lighting and editing in it. And I definitely think anyone into Flatland will enjoy this one. Then we've got a Power Hour with Larry Edgar from Our BMX. And in this one, Larry's riding an indoor ramp setup that is definitely not built for someone that goes 30 feet in the air like Larry Edgar. So he gets to showcase some of his other skills aside from just going really high. And Larry Edgar is definitely a really well-rounded BMX rider for anyone who's not aware of the fact that he can do more than do a gigantic tabletop to tuck no hander as he's falling back into a quarter pipe. Definitely cool to see this one, and I'm excited to see more stuff like this from BMX, and I hope that we see more from more varying people as well. Let's get a brake power hour from somebody who still rides brakes in BMX. And when I say that, I mean let's see it on one of these big BMX media sites YouTube channels and not just a random one where it'll only get 100 views. Then we've got a video from We the People called This is Riley Smith from a 10-day trip in California where he absolutely gets a whole bunch of hammers. Then we've got Sam Jones at Junction 4 Skate Park, followed by Luke Snelling, Welcome to Tempered. And then we've got a video that's a session with Chase Hawk and a whole bunch of other Etnies guys at the LA courthouse spot, which if you haven't seen it before, I think it's in the thumbnail here. You'll recognize it after you see it. This spot is like legendary. Just the fact that it even exists is crazy. It's such a perfect transition setup, and you can see if you watch the video how much people got done at this spot. But what's so monumental about this, and why I'm saying I feel like you guys should watch it, is because this spot is normally a bust. Very, very difficult to ride. But when they were filming the Etnies Chapters video that came out, I think back in 2017, Etnies actually got a permit to go and film and ride there. So they had a whole crew of people with cameras and all kinds of other stuff there, and they didn't have to worry about getting kicked out whatsoever. And what it led to was a really awesome session. This is kind of just a raw session video. No real talking from anybody or music, but what we do have in here is clips with Ruben Alcantara, Joe Rich, and Tom Dugan even gets one in here. And I think there's another guy who I didn't quite recognize, but it's just really, really cool that this even happened. And speaking of Tom Dugan, we've got one product related thing to talk about this week, and that is a promo video with Tom promoting the Grandstand V2 pedals, which is an updated version of his original Grandstand pedal from Odyssey. From there, we can move into the interview section from this week with two different things that aren't really interviews, but they have people talking in them, so I threw them in the interview section anyways. The first first is called The Legend of Paul Buchanan and the Church Gap. And basically what this is Sandy Carson telling the story of how Paul Buchanan did the legendary Austin Church Gap, the one that Jimmy Levan did, but he did it with no cameras, no photo cameras, no video cameras, no none of that. He just did it and is legendary, and Sandy Carson tells the story of that, and then Taj did an animation to go with the storytelling, so we kind of do get visuals, but not the exact original visuals. Still really awesome nonetheless, and I'm excited when things like this happen. Also, rest in peace, Paul Buchanan. Anyone who does the Church Gap without any documentation whatsoever, just for the sake of doing it, is a monster on a bike. And then we've got a video talking about how to do all different types of grinds with DeMarcus Paul from Our BMX. So if you want to learn how to grind, check this one out. I also have a how to grind video on my channel, which is in the tips and tricks playlist. So there's a lot of different sources on YouTube for learning these different things. And I think it's always good to have these different perspectives, because there's always going to be these little nuances to things that someone might explain differently than someone else or someone might do. And those are the things that really help people. So that's also something to keep in mind if you're watching these how-to videos. Definitely watch multiple sources to pick up on these nuances from different people who say things in different ways that may teach you better than other people. And on that note, I'm going to remind you guys once again to watch Nathan Lanky Phillips' Swan Song video along with Tate Roskelley's Wait What video, because you just have to see these BMX videos. They're so radically different. They're so amazing in their own rights. You need to see them, and let me know what you thought of them in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you're new or you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button so that hopefully we can see you tomorrow for another video. Leave your thoughts on anything else that I talked about in today's video that you may have as well. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.